Minister Modi, I want to thank you again, both for your invitation to join you on this incredible Republic Day and the wonderful hospitality that you've shown me over the past 2 days. Today's ceremonies and parade were truly spectacular. It was a moving tribute to India's founding, its democracy, its progress. And after all those hours in the reviewing stand together, I figured that the Prime Minister might be tired of me by now, but what's another speech between friends? I will not, by the way, ride a motorcycle today after watching those incredible acrobats. As I said yesterday, even as this visit is rich with symbolism, it's also a visit of great substance. We're advancing the vision that I laid out on my last visit. India and the United States as true global partners. And a core element of this vision is greater trade, investment, and economic partnership. Our two business communities, all of you, have been some of the strongest champions for a closer relationship, and I want to thank you for your commitment.
I welcome you to the House of Representatives chamber, and your address today is a significant occasion in the history of this House. I now call upon the Honourable the Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, Mr. President, it is long overdue for an Indian Prime Minister to address this Parliament, given that the leaders of the United States, China, Indonesia, Britain, Canada, Japan and New Zealand have already done so. But I am personally delighted that this omission is at last corrected. It is fitting that in the home of our democracy we should be addressed by the leader of the world's largest democracy. Madam Speaker, there is so much that we can learn from a Prime Minister who must try to reach some 830 million voters and whose mastery of electioneering has meant that in India's recent election he was literally beamed into dozens of different rallies simultaneously all around the country. Prime Minister Modi is the first in decades with an absolute majority in the lower house, the Lok Sabha, because he imbued his fellow citizens with the sure hope that tomorrow can be better than today. He gave credit for India's success to those who really deserved it. He told voters that their country belonged to them, not to their rulers or to their officials. And even here in Australia, the Modi campaign and victory inspired hope, because Australians too believe in work, family and community, in doing things for love, not just for money, and in living our ideals. If all goes to plan, and no one, if I may say so, has ever made the Indian bureaucracy perform, as Prime Minister Modi did in Gujarat, by the end of next year, we will have a free trade deal with what is potentially the world's largest market. And I want to make this declaration here in this Parliament. There are two can-do Prime Ministers in this chamber today, and we will make it happen. And if all goes to plan, Australia will export uranium to India, under suitable safeguards, of course, because cleaner energy is one of the most important contributions that Australia can make to the wider world. Now, Madam Speaker, geologists believe that somewhere between 130 and 300 million years ago, Australia and India actually shared the same landmass. We were, so to speak, joined at the geological hip. We cannot change continental drift, but we can ensure that we are closer friends and partners in the future than we have been in the recent past. I have never seen any leader as rapturously received in this country as Prime Minister Modi has been. And that's not just by the 500,000 Australians of Indian descent, and not just because the former Chief Minister of Gujarat has never been a stranger to us, and at least this should mean that it never again will be 28 years till the next Prime Ministerial visit. Madam Speaker, the cheering crowds sense that there is a natural affinity between Australia and India, a natural partnership for peace and prosperity, and they want us. They want both of us, they want all of us to make the most of it.
And Prime Minister, under your leadership, Canadians feel closer to India than ever before. Canadians see in India a growing force for good in Asia and the world, a force for democracy and freedom, a force for tolerance and pluralism, a force for our mutual security, a country that can be a model for all peoples who aspire to better things. Now, friends, it is that same promise which was seized by a young boy many years ago, a young boy with humble roots and a devout spirit, who last year was freely elected to govern the largest democracy the world has ever known. I'm so proud to say that he's been along a friend to Canada and we to him, as during his many years as Chief Minister of Gujarat, we had extended the hand of friendship long before others. With that, friends, it is my great pleasure to introduce our main speaker. His visit to Canada is historic. La première visite bilatérale exclusive au Canada d'un Premier ministre de l'Inde depuis plus de 4 décennies. The first standalone bilateral visit to Canada by an Indian Prime Minister in more than 4 decades. He is striving to make India Vishwa Guru, teacher of the world. And his impact in India and around the world has been noticed and admired by many. We're also pleased he accepted our government's invitation, and I'm so pleased to have the opportunity to introduce him, the Honourable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi.
And now, I'd like to welcome the man you've all been waiting for. They said, hold on. Hold on. They said a Chaiwalla would never govern the world's largest democracy, but he proved them wrong. He rightly said, Ache din anawali hai. But with his energy, with his vision, with his ambition, I would go one further and say this: Ache din zarur ayega. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Prime Minister Modi, we want you to succeed. It is in all of our interests. And we want history to remember that what you did for India's development is the same memory people have of the history of Mahatma Gandhi and what he did for India's independence. So we are invested in that future together. I don't think it's a coincidence at all, in fact I know it isn't, that Secretary Pritzker, Secretary Hagel, Deputy Secretary Burns, and I all went to India during your first 100 days in office. And it's not a coincidence that you have come to America so early in your tenure. We are all invested in this relationship because we recognize what this moment demands of all of us. President Franklin Roosevelt, of course, described America as having a rendezvous with destiny. India's first prime minister spoke about India's tryst with destiny. And this can be a moment where, for the United States and India, our destinies actually converge. If we make the right choices, if we harness the capacity of our two nations, if we seize the opportunities, this can be the moment to transform our strategic relationship into an historic partnership, a partnership that honors our place as great powers.